Welcome to Rauta's Indie 5. This time, once again, we have 5 different albums, 5 different styles in this video. Smaller bands, obviously. Most of them are already a little bit older, from 2021. But there's one newer one, actually two newer one, which I wanted to include because they just arrived timely fashion for this review. So while they're smaller, well, meaning they will definitely fit the Indie 5 bill, they're also something that can, be featured here because they're not exactly the big ones, and running out of possible review days is some kind of compromise. So indeed, 5 different styles. We'll go in alphabetical order. I hope these are already sorted out. Sometimes I just mess around and fail doing that. First, we'll go with this band called Diabolizer. Doesn't exactly look like a typical death metal band. I was expecting some kind of, black trash, death trash, or whatever. But this comes from Turkey. And to my surprise, it's a very, very energetic, violent, and most important of all, a good album. This isn't exactly something that just, reinvents the wheel. I kind of dislike and like the saying because a lot of people are kind of annoying. You don't have to really reinvent the wheel and all that stuff. Don't use that cliche. But let's be honest about it. A lot of us don't really want to go retro. Yet a lot of us don't really want to have anything too much new. We just want to go back to basics and just let it work for us. So even if it's retro, even if it's reinventing the wheel or something totally different, doesn't really matter after all as we get our fluids going on. And Diabolizer is doing exactly that. My first spin with the album was like, already, okay, I'm liking it. And the more I listened, the more I started to like it. Why so? Because this is actually combining the elements of modern death metal and kind of a traditional parts in a way that makes this album work nicely. It sounds powerful, strong, energetic, violent, fast tempo and all that stuff. And it's, one of those albums that feels kind of a banger. You are already like banging your fist and head to it because it just flows nicely. It's not a perfect album. It could be a lot catchier and, more memorable, like a lot of classic albums are. They tend to be, even though people so often bitch about, it has to be catchy or memorable, but everything. But let's be honest about it. Whether we're talking about 80s or 90s or, I don't know, even 2000s album, a lot of those classics, really old ones or even newer ones, they are classics because they have the hit songs that kind of drill into your brain and you feel like, I'm just listening to this because they are powerful, not some filler tracks. And Diabolizer might not exactly have those killer tracks, but it's not a filler album either. It's good, it's solid, it's just kind of a modern / traditional death metal. I like how the things do. This was a totally positive surprise and I hope you give it a chance. Just don't expect that reinventing the wheel part and you're ready to go. Then we have kind of a new band, and this is from United States. This is actually refreshingly a demo. You can still see it wrapped, so I'm just gonna remove the wrapping here. This is a demo 2021, and it's featured 3 tracks, about 12 minutes. Also kind of a back to basic death metal, but also having a little bit more complex parts. So it's not actually technical, but it's not also, one of those very boneheaded riffs. It's combining the both, trying to, balance things out. So at the same time, leaning towards very basic death metal riffs, but having a little bit of a technical twist to just, keep you guessing what's coming next. And it works well. But this is not the next Diabolizer. So while those Turkish guys are just like, let's kill it, these are more like, let me just get my weapons on the ground, and okay, he's already gone and killed a bunch of zombies. But Metaphobic is actually pretty promising, and mind you, this is a demo, so you don't really get to compare it to full album, but I like what they're doing there, and as such, it's actually pretty interesting. Then another band from the United States, and also something that we could unwrap, is this band called Seizure. Now, mind you, there are plenty of bands with the same names, but most of them are not exactly active anymore, so maybe these guys had the claiming rights to this name. Forbidden Tales, with a kind of a Dungeons and Dragons looking like a dragon on the cover. I mean, if this doesn't really give you the power metal vibes, I don't know what are. But like the logo suggests, this ain't no power metal, but it's indeed trash metal. The logo is very trashy, but the cover is almost like, okay, let's do power metal. Maybe it's just there to distract you a little bit. As you can see, pretty basic promo. This is how it used to be some 15, 20 years ago. Most of them anyway. So this is trash metal, about 40 minutes, and going back to the very basics. It could be an album, you just dug up from the 80s and just, okay, this is going like how it was back in the days. Not too many bands do the kind of a traditional classic trash metal style these days. At least not this good. So many bands are more hybrid, including a lot of death metal elements or black metal elements, or then just going very much groove metal. But that's also part of the whole trash metal genre. Because the thing here is, it's so tight and narrow genre or sub-genre. I mean, if you really go over that, then people start saying, okay, you're death metal or black metal or groove metal. Whereas, just you can incorporate a lot of different things within black metal or even death metal. I mean, all the way from more atmospheric stuff to very violent stuff and raw and blah, blah, blah. Lots of subgenres. Where trash metal is less. Okay, you either fit the box or you're doing something else. But these guys are doing the very trashy, very basic ways. There are lots of kind of a mosh part hits. They are, kind of a grooviness that is trash metal, not groove metal. We're not talking about Pantera here. We're talking about bands like Testament or Exodus or whatever. Kind of like Violence vibe getting also, but that's partially because of the vocals. I mean, they have the kind of a high pitchy style, which I really like because it feels like personal, unique, something different. I mean, a lot of death metal bands just have the kind of a basic bulk growliness, blah, 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 blah. And there are lots of black metal bands, the kind of a basic raspiness. No, I might like a lot of that basic bulk stuff. But thrash metal, much like heavy metal, is the one style that you actually have more, say, variety with the vocal styles. And really good ones are separated from the basic ones because they have personality. Violence is a really, really good example. I get it. Not everybody likes Khalkednian and his very unique style. I do. And for the reason it is unique and it's kind of something that you need to kind of grow into. Same thing, but more easy to access is with Seizure. I like how the vocals are done, and I really hope the next album by the band will be a really killer one, because this is more like a decent one. It's almost right there to get the cigar, but not ready yet. It's entertaining, it's all that stuff, but it's not really memorable. And with thrash metal, this catchiness stuff I was already talking about is even more important than with the, just like basic death metal where you just need to heads roll down the river and all that stuff. But with thrash metal, you're talking about anthems. We're talking about Slayer. We're talking about Metallica, Megadeth, whatever. You really have to have those killer riffs to stand out and be the next big thing in the genre. Anyway, quite nice, but not yet in the good area. Then we have this rather anonymous duo from Finland, Sombre Figures, with the debut album Streams of Decay. This already came out 2021, July, I think. So it's already been here on the pile for about a year. Yes, indeed, the queues are massive, and I do my best to unqueue it. Anyway, this is the debut album, and since that they have released at least one split, and I think some other mini release, but this is the first official debut album. 29 minutes and then some raw and black metal. Now there's a twist. A lot of raw black metal bands, especially these days, not talking so much about the 90s, are kind of hiding their lukewarm mediocrity among the raw production. This very much goes for those Portuguese bands, which are just super raw and primitive. But the production is more like a messy, not powerful. And that's where I'm heading to 1990s. Think about bands like Iliarn. They might have raw and, kind of a powerful sound, even if the riffs are super simple. Whereas a lot of these more nowadays raw bands kind of also have melodic leads, including this one here. But the production is kind of a messy. So it gives this a little bit of a sloppy feeling, where actually a more powerful sound rather than having that kind of a background hissing, and which makes it seem like you can handle this, the instruments and you can handle the riffs, but production not so much. In my opinion, it's just kind of giving the wrong vibe out of the whole album. It's almost like trying to give this kind of a decoy, so you're not so much paying attention to the riffs and melodies or whatever bass lines, because you're just like, okay, this production is so raw, it makes me just, you know, tear down my pants and take a shit outdoors. Why would you do that? I mean, you could actually have all those riffs in a more powerful way, rather than going for full distorted vocals and kind of a messy guitar sound and drums sounding like it's what some sloppy one-armed guy doing the stuff. Sorry, no cigar. This album has a handful of really good riffs and a lot more than one handful of mediocrity. I think this is a very potential band, but now they are kind of wanting to destroy it all with just bad production. And in my opinion, rawness is not necessarily about sounding messy or sounding smudgy and like, you know, all that stuff. It could have both power and still maintaining rawness. Sombre Figures is yet to figure that out. This one is okay to listen to, but not really a good album, I'm afraid so. Last but not least is a band from Sweden. This is another 2022 release here, Wolfcross from the North. This is the debut album by this 2015 based founded band, which is there to just keep going on with Swedish black metal legacy. This album runs more than 50 minutes, which is just too much given the style here. I don't think I'm gonna force it out. I've done the mistake a couple of times, and then the jewel case just gets into shrapnels and all that stuff. Let it be there because it's so tight. Here, nice skull, red one. I'm not the Marvel villain. You know the Marvel villain, red skull? Okay, yeah, maybe my joke didn't really work that well. It's okay. Wolfcross is here to do just kind of a basic Swedish black metal. Kind of a fast tempo, kind of a mid-tempo, not super violent, not super raw, not too melodic. You get the idea. This is pretty much the kind of a midstream band that is not super clean and nice and all that polished. Not exactly raw and, you know, very primitive and all. Quite accessible, quite approachable, not too memorable. There are a couple of songs which have hit song material, potential to be like, okay, these you're gonna bang to even if you forget like 8 out of 10 songs. Like, for example, the last song, and there was one other one which I really can't remember anymore because I wasn't paying the attention what that was the name of the track. But there are like a couple of actually good ones on this album. Like, okay, if only the full album was all about this quality and all, but it's not. So it's not too consistent in style, but there are moments when it seems like this band is going to fly. For the rest of the time, it's just like, okay, basic, go back to work kind of a black metal. It's very listenable, but unfortunately quite forgettable. And I have to mention something. While the raspy vocals are quite okay, it's like the guitar sound is like too powerless. It's not kind of a clanky style. It's not very raw style. It's not, you know, polished. It just lacks power. And the drums, I mean, what the hell? They are more like demo recording, not just like having boom, you know, fist in your face. More like a bitch slap on your face, like these are how my drums sound. Make it better for the next album. This is a note to the band in case they're watching, or for the label in case they're gatekeeping for the next album. So not bad, but no cigar this time. So you already know what the best album in my opinion. This one is the easy case. Sometimes I have hard time figuring out what is the best of this pile. But this time, no contest. It's definitely these Turkish guys, Diabolizer. So this is my recommendation. For all these albums, you will find links in the description box. So listen to the ones you are keen about to listening to, or whatever you want find interest in, and check them out. These are worth your time. Well, some of them. And you know the rest. If something resonates with you, give it more love, give it more time, and maybe consider buying it. This is Rauta, Indie 5, end of rant, too long a video, and blah blah blah. See you with the next review video coming out. Bye bye.